Okay guys, so we're demonstrating some flights here. I'm going to pull this out of the bag. Now this is, we just got this yesterday, so it's still rolled up from the factory the way they do it. And I suggested that he get a stuff sack. The one thing that I didn't like is, like Air Design sends you wonderful bags, great bags, but you have to, we have two ways of packing a wing in there. We call it the burrito pack, or we got the one where we just do it in the big stuff sack. A stuff sack's like 60 bucks. And he's going to end up getting one because it's so much easier to do it, but this isn't normally the way it's packed up, so I'm just unrolling it from the factory here. So normally when I do it, I take it from a full, from the standard rosette out of the stuff sack. But the first thing we want to do is establish where our nose is at, where the bottom of the wing is. We just lit off a smoke bomb, and this light and the breeze is coming from that way. There's almost no wind, and a lot of people are fooled by that because they think, oh, there's no wind, I can just take it off in any direction. But if you look at, I don't know if you can even see my steam in there off my breath, it's moving. And when you magnify that on a wing on a launch, it wants to find out where that's at. So if it was coming from the side and I would sit up this way because I think there's no wind, as soon as that wing comes off the ground and there's pressure on it from my forward motion, it's going to want to turn towards that. And when you're a new guy starting off, that just sets you up for a failed launch. So if you get picky with the 3-point setup like in my other video, the wind, the pilot, the center of the wing, you have an imaginary access to that. You have a wing that wants to grab the wing evenly, come up evenly, and when its skill level's low, you're going to want that. Okay, we're just going to unroll this wing right now real quick. Want to keep these lines away from the other lines. Sometimes we stick them in a bag, but when we get the stuff sack, there's usually a little bag we stick them in, but we tuck these out of the way. Never let these get near the other lines, because that's how you get a tangle. If you ever get a tangle, don't take the lines off of these. You're gonna have to let somebody that actually knows what they're doing, because you're just gonna screw it up. But it'll all come undone if you just focus on clearing the A's. Lay your wing out if you ever get a tangle, and focus on clearing just the A's, and all the other ones will clear out. So I'm going to take my tips out, like straight out. What I do is I want to imagine an airplane wing laying, like I took it off of a Cessna and I laid it on the field and it's wide open. I wouldn't take a tip there and there, or there and there. I want it in that direction. So I'm taking a tip right there, taking a tip right there, and I look at my runway according to that 3-point system where the wind was coming from. So here's my tip. I identified that, and I'm going to walk this out about halfway. This came just from the factory. So yesterday we hooked up his A-line assist, so we only opened up the bag for a little bit to get the correct measurements for the A-line assist. If you don't have A-line assist on your trike, it means you got to hold on to the throttle, you got to hold on to the steering, and you have to hold on to the two A-lines so that it tips the wing. The A-line assist tips the wing so the air inflates through the open cells much easier than beating around behind it like a drag car. You want that A-line assist to pull the wing that way so the open cells fill the air into the openings much better. Okay, so we're just going to open this up. And what sucks is if you don't have A-line assist, and all of Flypod has always had A-line assist on their trikes, what happens is it doesn't let the other lines lay back with the other lines, so it's automatically pulling. But as it comes up, then all the lines are the same. You don't have to release them at a precise time. But that gives me, as my skill level improves, that gives me the ability to give it little corrections on the way up, because later on, you'll almost have eyes in the back of your head based on pressure that you feel. And you'll be able to give it some input and fix a wing that's coming up totally crooked. And by the time it gets over your head, you've already got it fixed. And then you just taxi a little bit more, make sure you got it stable, roll it on. All right, go ahead and pause it. We're gonna, actually, you know what, just keep rolling. Did you keep it rolling?
Yep.
All right. It's gonna be a long video, but, so right now I wanna clear my lines. Like something that looks like a knot here. I don't think it's real because it just came from the factory and we're kind of moving it around. So I just kind of fluff those things up. These are my risers. I find my A's. I put those on the top facing the sky, and I hold these both in my hand. You always want to pick it up by the ends, the connection points. You don't pick it up by the lines up here and let it swing through themselves. That's how you get tangles. You always pick them up by the ends. I'm going to stand centered with the wing. What I do is I start jiggling this now, and that helps the lines fall off of each other, and it shows me what I need. See how they all kind of broke loose? Okay, so look right here. Michael, come in with the camera. And so as we did this and jiggle backwards, we can see this twist in here. And so all you do is you don't flip it around. You don't want to whip your arms around. That'll tangle the lines. If you just turn like that. Okay, we're going to jiggle some more. And Michael, if you'll come over here and bring the camera over here. Look at all my lines can be seen, inspected, checked out for anything that needs to be repaired or damaged from the last flight or caught on a rock. But it also helps you find something that might be a knot in there or something. The one guy that claims that he had a full collapse on the one side of his wing and slammed into the ground yelling for Siri to come get him. He claims it was from something on his lines. If he would have used my setup, that wouldn't have happened, because there's about 5 or different times during this routine that I have for setup that he would have caught that, like right now. I'm looking at my lines, I'm clearing them out before I just lay it out, fly, and get up in the air. I don't just throw it out behind here. I want to see that they're clear. Okay, so I got them both here. I'm going to grab just the A lines right now. And this one has split A's, so I'm going to grab all 4 of them. I'm going to grab them right by the melons. I'm going to hold that up, and I step in. I call this the Statue of Liberty. I give things names to help people remember. Why do you think I call it the Statue of Liberty, Michael?
I think you look like the Statue of Liberty.
Lady Liberty, that's right. Exactly. Thank you, Michael.
She's probably better looking.
Which explains why this morning I feel so pretty. I feel so pretty. So anyways, here it is. So look at that. My A's are already clear. Sometimes when you pull it out, you'll have lines like that. So if you're holding it up, look at, I can't even keep it like this with my system here like this. They just clear out from tightening it up. There's 3 things I'm going to check here. That's clear. Then I check the trimmers. The trimmers allow you to speed up the wing. We'll explain more, and I have a video on that. But right now they're in neutral position. They're at the slowest position, which is where I like students. And they're both on in the same position. If one was out and one was on, I could have a wing that would come up crooked, and one side's already flying faster. Next thing I do is I pull my my steering toggles out of the snap or the magnet, whichever you have on your wing, and I want to see that steering line goes right through that pulley. If it wraps around another line, you can get what's called lockout. It'll work, your steering will work until you get in the air and all your weight is jammed down into the crotch of that other line. Can you show that there? You see how that line goes right into that crotch?
Yep.
Well, this will work while you're rolling and taxiing and get off the ground. But once you pull a turn in the air, that turn's going to stay on. And the big mistake a lot of people make is they'll pull that other brake to try to straighten it out. But now it senses that there's 2 brakes being pulled. What does that do? That slows you down so much, and if it's a big enough slowdown, you're going to have a stall. You're going to stall that wing. So what do? Well, first of all, you set up my way, okay? Because I'm going to check this twice. I check it right now, and then I check it right before I fly. I pull the last thing I do, I got my seatbelt on, the motor's running, I got the throttle in my hand, I reach back, I yank out one of the toggles, and I look, and I trace that with my eye, and I say, left brake is clear. I look at the right brake, yank that one out, and I follow my eyes through, and I say right brake is clear. And then I know it's not going to happen. I'm not going to get lockout, because it sucks when you get it. But one way to do it is when you're locked in that turn, you let go of it, you're going to pull a turn, it's going to stay locked, and you go, oh my gosh, I'm in lockout. Don't panic, don't hit the other, just keep flying. You reach above the pulley, and you pull the line to get it to come out of the turn, and it just comes right out. Now, you've got a choice. Do I want to try to fish it through there, stay high flying, and try to fish it through the lines? If you can, that's great, but stay high. Be aware of don't be at tree level doing this stuff. But if you want, you don't even have to do that. You can steer back towards the field with your other brake that's still not in lockout, line it up with field, back down the throttle, and you'll still get a flare out of it when you land, and you don't have to worry about it not coming up because you turned it into a landing. But if you just do my method, you avoid that completely. It's a 2-time check, and that won't happen. So I'm going to yank this out of here so it doesn't stay in lockout. So now, and I'll put it back in the magnet. And I want you to kind of pull them out now, but what I do sometimes is instead of pulling them out of the magnet and try to get them back in the snaps, I just come over here like this, Michael, and I'll actually hold this and see that it goes through there and that it's clear, that my toggle is right there in there, and that way I don't have to struggle to find the magnet or the snap. Okay, so this wing is ready to connect up. We've got it. My back is directly into the wind. The A's were clear. The other lines were clear. I saw no tangles. I saw no sticks in there. The brakes are clear. The trimmers are set. There's like 3 things: A's, trimmers, brakes. That's it. And now our wing, we know, isn't going to go into a collapse or anything like that, which is what that one guy said. I have a hard time believing that. When I watched that video where that guy said that his line was caught and that was the reason for that collapse. First of all, he was using a speed bar and we didn't have any hands on there. He was holding his phone and then had the collapse. He was pushing it to the limits, trying to make it go as fast. I don't know what kind of wing that was. I know I've never had a collapse in 30 years. I've never had a collapse, ever. And I do aerobatics, I do everything. I've never had a collapse, not even a partial collapse. I don't fly in wind conditions that would cause a collapse or accelerate. I don't like anything that jumps from 5 to a 10-mile-an-hour increase. It's 5 to 10, not 5 to 15, or, you know, with a 5-mile-an-hour increase, you're okay. But I don't fly in weather conditions that are gusty. In fact, I like to fly in dead conditions. That's the glory of a trike. When the other guys have to struggle because they have to run with the motor on their back and they're tripping and falling, breaking props, and if they have a failed launch, they got a 20-minute setup. They got to get out of the motor, get out of the harness, get out of the wing, get out of everything, reset the wing, get back in it, get the harness back on, get the motor back on, get the wing back connected, and then I can just jump out, take my seatbelt off. I got a car seatbelt in there. Boom, I pop that, reset the wing, try it again. It's literally a 2-minute setup. And so it's much easier, more fun. You can do more, it's safer. Everything about a trike, well, this trike, not all trikes are created equal. I got to say that. They don't self-steer, they don't have pilot protection, but anyway, so now my wing is set up, it's ready for the connect up and ready to drag back. So the machine has been warmed up. He warmed it up there, and then he wrote it down here. So we're going to pause it, and I'll hook this up in a second when I roll it over there. Okay, so here we go. We're going to pick up our risers. You notice when I set them down there, I set them down with the A's on the top. I don't want to just throw them down and have them twist. I want to know that when that wing comes up and it rises up above the trike, that my A's are in the front, my brakes are in the back, and that's the way I'm going to connect up to my riser, or to my carabiners right here. So I don't want to take my eye off that. I'm going to re-grab it right here, and now I'm going to open up that carabiner, put it on there just like I'm going to be hanging. I could even double check it by holding that up, see that the A's in the front. We're going to tighten up our carabiner here for a second. I'm going to lay all these in the line guides. Now, I've already hooked Michael up with his A-line assist, and it's nothing more than this. And we have a nice tab here, not a spike that's going to, if you roll your trike over on some of the other ones, they have a spike here. And when that rolls into that area and that bends, it's pointing right at the pilot's face. That's, one guy skewered his face right on his cheek, and the spike stayed in the meat. We don't do that. We got a nice low profile tab there. There's nothing here to skewer you if you ever roll. This is a hard trike to roll because you can roll it. I mean, if you just smash it on the throttle, but it tries to save you because it self-steers. If you look right here, if that wing senses it's going to roll over, watch what it does. I'm gonna push on this like the wing is pulling it to the side, pretending it's a new student and he doesn't. But look which way it did. It turned that front wheel so he would roll right towards where it was going to roll. Only FlyPod has this, and it's absolutely amazing. It just works better than being out. When they're new, they forget what their feet are doing. But this one will actually override the pilot's feet if you just rest him on there when he takes his flight. And so it saves him. It just corrects his little fault. So it's a really great feature to have, and FlyPod's got it. Here we go. I'm going to take my A-line assist, connect it to the front A-line on this one. If you have split A's, connect it only to the front one, because the back one goes to the tips, and you don't need that. They need to be able to separate in the air. Okay, I'm going to come over and grab this one. We're going to connect this up. That's connected up. Let's double check it. Yes, the A's are in the front. Okay, and then we're going to take our A-line assist, hold it up straight again, connect it up to the, there you go, straight up and straight over. But we had to wait until we established what hole Michael's going to fly from. I'm going to fly from the same one he flies on, so we don't have to readjust it. Okay, so now Now is the part where I take a little grass, or sometimes I have, and I don't have it on me now. So as I get in here, and when we first started, we dropped the smoke bomb where we had a little baby powder and those little tiny baby powders. You see, man, that's really being really picky. Really, I mean, there's hardly no wind. You really need to be that, but yeah, I'm telling you, it helps you. It helps you in the beginning. It gives you every kind of thing while your skill level's growing. But here's what I'm gonna do. I take a little of this grass, and look, that's coming right towards my front wheel. So it's coming at the same angle. I'm looking straight down on it. I'm reaching out ahead of it. Nobody's standing in my way. So I'm directly into the wind. So if it was over here, I would take my trike and move my trike nose into the wind, and then I would get behind here. That's 1, the wind. 2 is the trike into the wind, and then 3 would be the center of the wing. So if I move this a foot, I got to move that about 8 feet and then pull back. So I would side to side move it. So right now we're lined up with the wind right there. 1 and 2 are lined up. Number 3 is the center of the wing. And here's what I do. I come back behind the wing. Every wing has some sort of identification on the center cell. There's the emblem. Okay? So I'm a little off right now. I'm about 2 foot to the left. Come in closer over here, Michael. I'm gonna come here. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at the very center of my trike. There's a bar in the middle. There's the hub in the middle. Those are centered, and I line it up. So I went sideways first, and then I have my 2 fingers right where those A lines come out of the wing by the stiffeners, and I just pull. I stay nice and low. And now both of them stopped my hand at the same time. Now I want that one to stay there. I don't want to pull it off center. I'm going to grab the next line, tighten that one up, tighten this one up, and by dragging it back, you'll notice that my wing is not rolled up like a cigarette. It opened up nice and wide like an airplane wing, but the reason for that is because air can inflate this glider much faster. When it inflates it faster, it comes over your head faster, it comes up smoother. If you have it rolled up in a tube and that air has to struggle to get through all those wrinkles and inflate the wing, by the time it inflates it all, it's usually heading off in a different direction. When I get to the end here, I just kind of clean it up. I don't pull it off center, but I open it up like an accordion, and look at that. It's in the beautiful shape of exactly what it's going to be like when it's flying. And some of the stuff that you put in videos got it in a V, got it into the tips. It's garbage. It'll work sometimes, but it's not efficient. And this is your best chance when you're a newbie of having a glider that wants to come up perfect for you almost every time. Okay, we're going to pause the video, and we'll come back to the next step after I get this all the way out.
Yeah.
Okay, so we pulled the tip out. We got our wing set up. It's connected to the trike. The trike's been warmed up. We got our 3-point system, the wind, the pilot, the center of the wing. So we should have a pretty decent wing, and he'll film it, and you can see how nice that wing comes out. There's one more thing I want to do, though, and you guys need to do this, because it doesn't happen all the time, but it will bite you at some point when you leave your lines loose like this. As that tube of air, as you throttle up and that tube of air comes off the back of your trike, the air around it sucks loose lines in here. So all we do is take this and we comb out some of these lines like that. And I'm going to head right towards about 1/4 of the wing. There's the tip, there's halfway. So right there, I'm going to take that and I just group them through my hand with one hand, watching that I don't step on them. When I get out here, I kind of sweep them with my arm. And did you notice that my hands were on the lines and I'm looking at them? So this guy that crashed, he said he had knots in his lines and that's what caused his crash. No, I would have seen mine. They would have went through my hand. I can look at it. So this is another time. This is like the 3rd time I'm looking at my lines. I looked at them when I connected them up and I jiggled them to make sure they're straight. I looked at them when I tightened them up. They're passing through my hands. That's number 3. And then I'm going to look at them on takeoff, because I teach my guys to look at their glider. There's nothing in front of you to hit. So looking out here and having your instructor say, oh, go by feel. You want to go by feel. You want to learn to feel. No, you don't. When you're a newbie, you don't know what feels right. You have to see and feel until you get it. Yes, can I launch without looking at it? Absolutely. You can tape my eyes. They did that one time. They put electrician's tape over both eyes, and they wanted to see how I'd launch just going by feel. And I launched it. Wasn't a video I wanted to put up, and they said, nah, you better not. You got a lot of haters out there that they think you're cocky. I'm not being cocky. I just know my subject matter very well, and I'm trying to help people. And it works. It works. If you try my methods, even if you've been taught and you've been flying for years, try my methods of setup, you'll see what I'm talking about, and you'll go, man, he's right. I am right about some stuff. Even a clock that's broken is right twice a day. So, all right. So I'm gonna come over to this side. Yeah, I'm a train wreck at a lot of other stuff in life, but not this. I'm good at this. So we'll just stick with it. It's the only thing I do right. All right, so there we go. And that little bit of tension is going to keep that from getting sucked into the lines. Okay, we're going to pause it for a second. I'm going to get in the pit. When I get in, I'm going to put my seatbelt on. I'm going to get the throttle strapped to my hand. So I'm ready to do that. And then I'm going to get those brakes in my hands like I told you about, where I crack them out and I look at them one more time to make sure that they're safe. And we'll pause this. We're trying to save some video. We don't have so much memory on this phone. But anyways, hit the bed. Get me going. Okay guys, so let me tell you what's going to happen here and some things that you want to watch for in this video. There's little things going on that sometimes they can't see that you'll learn when you come in, because I go over them repetitively. I burn it into the student's into his head. We just go over and over and over, and we develop the same routine, and I don't let him divert from it, because then I just instill that in him. He does it the same way every time, and they're safer methods and they work better. But what you're going to be watching for, some of the little things you're going to be watching in this video right here, and Michael, you don't have to film me going around maybe once or something like that. We're trying to save space in the video. It's already getting long. But you're going to watch my hands are going to be starting in the upward position. I want that wing to be able to come off the ground and get through that prop wash without getting hung up. If you start down here and throttle up, you're being counterproductive. You're trying to get that wing to come up, but you already have brakes on and it senses that. The whole purpose of the A-line assist is to make that wing come up. And we definitely don't want to counteract that by having brakes on. So our hands start high. Our eyes are going to be looking up for it. There's nothing in front of me to hit. Pan out there, Michael, so they can see this. Okay, I can ride for the next 5 minutes in that direction and not hit the berm. All right, so it's that far away. So we're so trained to look out ahead of us, and I understand it. I will glance down to make sure I'm still on a heading once my wing is up. But when I'm throttling up, there's this big urge to look out in front of me. You don't have to. We want to know what the wing is doing. The wing is the only thing that can hurt you. Well, how can that happen? How can a wing hurt you? Because if it's off to the side and you've been taught to go by feel, okay, and you think wow, that feels like it's directly over my head. Well, why don't you just look? It takes 2 seconds to do that. But a newbie will think, okay, that feels balanced, but with his lack of experience, it's off to one side. He thinks it's centered, and he mashes on the throttle, and now he flips his cart over, breaks his prop up, breaks his stuff up. And it just becomes. So what we want to do is get the wing up by having no brakes. As soon as I see the wing coming up, I'm going to brake. I can see these risers out of my peripheral, but I'm looking straight up. I don't look off at a tip. It's another thing these guys teach. Look up to see the tip. If you look that way, you'll go that way. And also, if you're looking at this tip, your peripheral doesn't allow you to see this tip. So this could be anywhere. It could be here. It could be up here. It could be higher. You don't know. But if you're looking up, you can see the center of it, and you know it's centered. Plus, you can see both tips out of your peripheral to tell whether they're balanced. So that nonsense of looking at a tip, even you foot launchers looking off to one side while you run, you're making yourself run that way, and you want to look up for it. Looking up for that wing, if you watch my other video, to look or not to look for foot launchers, that's going to help you immensely, because it teaches you to put your back in an orientation that your prop washes towards the ground, not bending over while you run. And by looking up, it'll automatically save you about, a lot of props for one. But check that out and see we can go into that later. But anyways, I'm going to have it up. I'm going to brake. I'm going to keep them down there on my climb out. I don't let up. There's actually a little bit of lift coming for that. I predominantly am using the throttle, and this beast is 36 horsepower with 150 centimeter props. It is living up to its name. Even with the NFL player that we had come in, he was almost 400 pounds. He's climbing like a homesick angel at about a 45-degree angle at almost 400 pounds, almost 7 feet tall, and he's climbing. So I don't even need all throttle to get off the ground. So I'm probably going to go about half throttle, quarter throttle just to get going. But I want to be nice and smooth. Brake, see it. Do I have a good wing? Yes, take it. Roll on a little more power. Keep my hands on the brakes until I get about 20, 30 feet in there, and I just let it pull my hands up to where it's at. I'm going to have left-hand torque with this motor because it's very powerful. So what I'll do to compensate to stay on a straight heading is once I leave the ground, it may want to pull me a little bit to the left, but since I have both brakes on, I'll just let up the left brake a little bit to speed up that side to take out that torque and stay on a heading. I want to get some altitude before I make any turns. You always want to do that. I don't want to just bank into a turn unless you know what you're doing and how to do it and what you can get away with. So right now we want to get up, get clear. So I'm going to take these out. Snap that out of there. I'm going to look. Right brake is clear. Before I do anything with this hand, I'm going to start it up. When I'm coming in for a landing, I want you to watch my landing, how I'm pulling the brakes for the landing. I'll do sort of a downwind landing when I come back in so that the sun is on me so you can see it, and maybe I'll even slow the video down for slow motion so you can watch the landing. I'm not pulling these fast. You know, when I come in for a landing, I'm just pulling nice and you have to keep that airspeed up. I don't want to be braking at 25 feet, brake, 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 and then get down and go to flare at about 5 feet is where we initiate our flare for the landing. A lot of guys, you know, they start braking up at 25 feet. By the time they get down to 5 feet, even though they haven't stalled the wing, they have nothing left. They have no lift. They have none of that airspeed to convert into lift for that. It's like pulling back on the yoke of a plane for that landing. And so we want to keep that airspeed up, and all of that will convert into lift on our landing. So it's a no-brainer. Even if you didn't do anything with a fly pod, it's made of steel. You might have a little hard landing, but you're not going to hurt this thing. This isn't the aluminum tent poles and stuff that they slide together for your cage. This is the real deal. So anyways, I'm going to start this up. Might not be able to hear me, and then Michael, I want you to go out there and just watch how the wing comes up, okay? And see what it comes up like. Now the wind has changed just a little bit, but not bad. But you'll be able to see how effective that setup is, because he's going to go out so you can see the whole picture, the wing and the motor. Okay, God bless you. Watch my hands. Look at this. Look at it. And I'm going to do my lay down that I normally do while I'm still rolling. I tip my hand to the side. All right, come on over here. So I don't know if you can see that, but what I did is just keep my airspeed up. We cut out of me flying around, but that was about quarter throttle. I'm 217 this morning on the scale, totally naked. Of course, the scales at the drugstore aren't that accurate. But anyways, he didn't get the whole flight going around, but we just cut it right there. But I was already higher than those 60-foot, 70-foot trees right there at the back of the field at quarter throttle in less than just one half turn, not even a full turn. And that was only quarter throttle. But did you see how nice that wing comes up? Perfect. Perfect. It was able to inflate easy. All the cells grab air at the same time because I walk those lines out and tighten them. It's already in the shape that it's going to be flying. It jumps above your head. You cannot get these results with the stuff that's being taught out there in these books of folding your tips and putting it in a V and backing up about 10 feet and running if you're a foot launcher, or putting loose lines out there and just snapping it into the air. That's counterproductive, and I'll show why in other videos. But Michael, did you see it?
I saw it. It came up. It came up perfect. It was amazing, and you were
right?
yeah.
It works. It really does. And then you see my hands drop down to stop the wing from overshooting, and it's there. By the time it comes in, it's already perfect. It's heading the direction I wanted. I evaluated whether I had a good wing, and I just rolled it on and took it. Now, when I come in for the landing, I yelled down to him when to start the video so he can get that landing. I wanted you to see how I pull those brakes, stay on heading, and this was a downwind landing. We actually got the breeze coming with us, and that's another nice thing about the Trike. Unlike a foot launch, you don't land in the wind with a foot launch, you're in trouble. You know, you got a 6 or 7 mile an hour breeze on a tailwind. You ain't gonna run that off after you brake and bring that in for a landing. You're gonna come in on your knees and your face and do all that. They face plant all the time. With a Trike, you can land in any direction because the wheels can roll a whole lot faster than you can run with 50 to 60 pounds of motor on your back. Foot launching, if you didn't know any better, if you didn't know about a fly pod Trike, it's still flying. It's amazing, and I teach it. I teach it all the time. But once I show people the difference in the benefits of going with a trike, there's another video I have. They don't want you to know about that stuff. They want to sell you props. They want to sell you cage parts. They love a student that you don't want to trike. You don't want to trike. That's going to cut off a lot of my income. I mean, it's going to rob you of the joy of flying, is what I meant to say. Yeah. And so you're in the first year, get ready, get a big stack of money, because props are expensive, cage parts are expensive, netting and all that stuff that they do. Because in the first year, the average guy will break, the least I've ever seen is 3 props and 3 cage setups. Okay, 3 of them. But the average guy breaks about 5 to 7 from tripping, falling, and just having failed launches and hard landings, and they're limited to the size of the motor. With this, you can strap on camping gear, put a cell phone on it for the like for a motorcycle cell phone, so you got full instrumentation. You can put anything you want on this thing, but you can do so much more. It's much comfortable. I'm in this bucket seat. I'm back 45 degrees. I can put side bags on it, put food in there, which I love to do. You probably can't tell me because I'm so shredded, but anyways, I'm going to do a reset now, and I'm ready for another flight. And we can even come back and maybe do that. So thanks for joining me, guys. I appreciate you. If you have any questions, give me a call. Shout out to my buddy in UK, Scott. How you doing, buddy? Thank you for that email that I got, and thanks for following our channel. They saw the one we did on Charlie Kirk, and a lot of Christians coming out of the woodwork for that, and we just appreciate it. Continue to pray for his family. I can't imagine what they're going through, and this is going to be a lifelong struggle for those two little kids. Without their dad. We're in a lot of sadness over it, but we know a lot of good's going to come out of it. We believe in a living God that really we can trust. He's got our best interest at heart, and evil will not go unpunished. I promise you. You can get away with it now, but you're going to stand before a holy God, and you're going to find out he does exist, and you had to answer to him. And your only hope is putting your trust in the shed blood of Jesus Christ and his resurrection, and you'll have eternal life. I'm not going to preach to you. That's just what I believe. It's 40 years I have accepted Christ as my Savior, and I can't see a reason why he would even want to, but he did. And he went to that cross for me, and he went to that cross for you. So I'm just going to throw a little plug in there for my Lord and Savior. And Scott, thank you for your testimony. I had a guy call me from the UK yesterday. I had another one from Australia. I had one from, near Kazakhstan. I had one from Kazakhstan who watched our salvation video that we started during COVID, and he says, I was a Muslim, and I became Christian. I went into the bedroom and got on my knees and asked Christ to be my Savior. So that was amazing. We teach more than just powered paragliding here. We love to share the gospel with you, but when you come in, we don't cram it down your throat. Like some Christians are a little pushy. I'm not. I'm outspoken about it, but I just wanted to share that with you today and send a shout out to Scott. And thank you, Scott. Appreciate you, brother. And we've got some students coming in this week. They're looking forward to getting their beast out of the factory. Virginia's coming in. Robert Plummer's coming in. Well, we got about 9 guys that are going to catch us right before we go back to Florida. So we're pretty pumped up and excited to see these fly pods get up and going again, because they moved the factory and they're set up and running now. And so we're going down to pick up units this week and hopefully be ready to go by Monday. God bless you guys. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you around.